All right. Well, it's our halfway point of this podcast season. Our audio might sound a little different because I have misplaced our microphones. Why do you think that happened?
I don't know. A subconscious. I hit it. I was trying to get out of this.
Yeah, you said, well, if he doesn't have microphones, then he won't be able to force me into the podcast.
I didn't think about iPhone technology.
Yeah, I will find a way.
Yes.
I will find a way for us to podcast. No, right before, the last time we saw the microphones actually was right before we were getting ready to leave for our trip to Europe.
Yeah, we just got back.
So we had at the beginning of 2024 kind of a target experience of taking Jessica's 3 boys to Europe. The younger 2 had never been before. Jessica had never been before. And with their schedules being college students, there was kind of a small window that we could thread that needle before your youngest went back into his sports training. And it unfortunately overlapped with my kids' school, still in high school. My daughter's, graduating from high school this year. And so we knew that this would be hard to pull off with a small business, and we needed to sort of build up our team. And now we're on the other side of that. So we thought it would be good to sort of reflect back on maybe how we got here, and if any of the shops burned down while we were gone.
Was that a segue into what actually happened?
Yeah, a little foreshadowing of the actual first fire, I think, that has happened while we were out of town. We've always said, like, if we go out of town, you tend to relax because if the shop burns down, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, that is a line that you like to say. And then we landed. I took my phone out of airplane mode, and I saw that we had an actual fire at one of our stores. Just a small one. Everyone was fine, but it was just kind of poetic that happened.
Yeah, it was poetic. So let's go back to the beginning of this year. We had a very important new hire that we brought to our team. We had always kind of had a hope of bringing on someone of Ryan Bodine's caliber when we thought about it would be great to have join our team at an operational level. And then at the end of 2023, beginning of this year, it actually happened. We sat down and interviewed him and talked with his wife and talked about the transition from working evenings and nights in the restaurant industry into mornings and weekdays in the coffee industry, so he can have some more time with his family in the evenings and on the weekends, and hopefully building him up so that he could kind of run the show while we were gone in Europe.
And he did. And so did Paige.
And so did VP Paige Venturi as well. So, so what do you remember? I mean, it's been 5 months now since we had sort of hopes of where it'd be at this time. What do you remember, and how has the reality been of having somebody at this high operational level that frees you up to work on some of the more owner level things?
Yeah, I think what I remembered was just really wanting to take this vacation. It's the longest that we've ever taken a vacation. We were gone for 10 days, and definitely the longest we've been away from the business, and just wanted to be in a place where we felt good about our operations and that things would run smoothly while we were gone, and that all happened. So I feel like in some ways it changed our roles in the business, and I've been thinking about that more and realizing that I don't need to be on site all the time. So that and honestly, that they just really don't need me anymore.
Yeah. There was that bit of a reality check when we landed. The whole fire situation was a little stressful for a few minutes until we then realized that they handled it. And then I remember I saw Paige before I saw Ryan, and I came in and talked to her. I said, okay, now just level with me. Like, how was it? How bad was it? And she said it wasn't bad at all. And there's that weird, maybe we can even take it back to parenting again.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was going to say.
Really?
It reminds me a lot of when I realize that my kids don't need me as much.
Yeah, yeah. And there's like, if you think about it at a big enough time scale, that's the point of parenting, is to create a self-sustaining, human who then goes on to, create their own family.
Yeah.
And so our baby of honeymoon, is more than a toddler now, more than a teenager now, maybe teenager is the right sort of maturity
I would say
level.
Preteen.
Preteen?
Yeah.
Honeymoon is a preteen right now.
Yeah.
You trust it to stay at home alone, but
still needs some direction.
It's not going to get a ride to a friend's house without your help.
Not just yet.
Well, that's kind of what's on my mind too, because my youngest is now driving. And so we have a new level of independence and autonomy with all of our kids. All of our kids can drive now. Mm-hmm. And if they have commitments with sports or other social activities, like, they can get there themselves. And so needing us just really isn't in the cards as much anymore. Yeah. And at the same time that's happening for me as a parent and you as a parent to a different extent, maybe, our day-to-day business operations don't need us as much.
Yeah, and I remember it being unsettling when it happened with my children, and I am also feeling that same bit of an unsettling feeling, kind of landing on, well, what does my role look like now? Because I still have a lot of passion for it.
Sure.
And so this week I've spent some time thinking about that and just kind of landed on my role is still to lead like the operations team and the overall vision and execution of what we want to provide our customers. But I won't be the one actually necessarily in the shop making sure that that's, handled appropriately. We will have our like pop-ins where we come and we see each store and we talk to our employees, but on a day-to-day, like covering a shift level should just probably never happen.
Yeah, what's coming to mind as you're describing that is I'm actually thinking of your mom and how she is very much she's a woman of few words, and she kind of is a roll up her sleeves and, kind of get shit done kind of person.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like there's no job too small for her, is I think kind of her approach. I mean, and she'll pull weeds, she'll paint, she'll sweep, she'll just do whatever is needed. But because she's a woman of few words, she's not going to like step up and, give, a Don Draper, esque, speech, in the boardroom or something like that to rally the troops. But I've seen you do that, many times. And so is that, like, how far off am I about how you're imagining some of this transition for your role?
I mean, it was interesting that you said the thing about the weeds, because I think I get caught in the weeds sometimes of...
Not just a metaphor?
Yeah.
But still a metaphor?
That I'm like, I'll go work a shift to make sure customers are having the best experience. But really, at the end of the day, with 4 stores... I don't have the capacity to do that anymore, so I have to trust that the team will execute. And that was part of the hiring of Ryan, is you're the director of operational excellence. And that's your job. And I'm going to hold you accountable to that while you're holding everyone else accountable to that. Yeah.
And knowing that you can do everything doesn't necessarily mean that you should do everything.
Yeah. So it'll be I'm sure I'll have days where I already am having days where I feel lost because a lot of the things that I used to do are being done by other people.
Yeah.
But it will eventually give me the mental capacity to do things like tackle a new inventory software, or I called and got our Square merchant fees reduced, and that's going to save us a ton of money, and little things like that I think we will appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, you're still very much the only person involved in the finances of Honeymoon. Like even myself, like I'm kind of in the dark, not for any sort of negative reason, but it's like I just don't know. I don't know exactly what's going on. I sort of trust you to know and to do it. So there's not anybody, nipping at your heels, to take over that part of the job. Do you see that as something that you would start to share in the future?
Are you wanting me to?
No. I'm following my curiosity right now. I am curious, like, as you have expanded the team, you've brought people on that do some of the things that you had done in the past. When I look at all your roles, like you can't outsource vision,
right?
Okay, but you could outsource, some of the accounting and bookkeeping that you do.
I think because I did work in a CPA firm before this, I'm very particular about how our finances are handled, and also just have seen other people be taken advantage of in a way that makes me kind of hold that pretty close. So if I'm being honest, I'm probably not there yet.
Yeah. I'm not talking about tomorrow. I'm just wondering if you can see a future to where you have a CFO or you contract that out in some way.
Maybe.
Okay.
That's all I can give you.
Maybe.
Sorry.
That's fine. Well, and then on the other side, is that a bald eagle?
I saw a dead one on the side of the road. It was insane.
Usually people hear birds chirping in the background when we're recording on the patio, and now we're just watching birds flying over as we're driving home on a road trip. All right, bald eagles or no, I know you didn't ask, but I have sort of a similar, relationship to certain aspects of our business that I did in a previous life, in a previous career. And so the marketing and storytelling is something that I had been involved in with other companies, working for an agency, and then the consulting that I did that led me to meet you even was digital marketing, social media consulting. And I really feel that that's just not my path anymore. And it is something that we are in the midst of exploring, either outsourcing or bringing somebody in on the team who would, kind of take that role on.
Yeah,
and I feel okay about that.
It's definitely our next hire that we need to make, and we know that we need to make it. So we've been just missing opportunities to tell our story, which we've kind of made the excuse, well, we're really busy and we just opened a new store and we don't really need to post on social media, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, we are missing opportunities. Like, we were featured in the Indiana Business magazine that we didn't even reshare, and just little things like that. So I do feel like those are good places to put our energy.
Yeah.
And whoever we hire is probably going to be very much pushing us to do interviews and stories and things like that would kind of maybe get us out of our comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah.
Or not you so much, but maybe me.
Well, and I'm also just recognizing I'm 44 years old, and it's there's so much about marketing and media, digital media. I mean, almost all media is digital these days, that I'm no longer fluent in those languages. It's something that honestly I'm trying to consume less of on my side as well. It's just not the season of life that I'm in, and we've had some great experiences with having employees, take a crack at running that and doing a great job for it. But I think we are looking to have somebody come in and do a lot more heavy lifting as we move forward.
And it'll be interesting to see if we've always had people that were actual baristas for us that also kind of doubled as our social media coordinator, and the soul was still there because they really understood Honeymoon and our mission and all of that. So it'll be interesting to see if we hire an outside agency, if we can actually still have that soul that's really important to us.
Yeah. Or bringing somebody in that has this sort of expertise within marketing as a field or PR as a field, and then needs to sort of learn maybe a little bit more about who we are, who our customers are, and the types of experiences that they've come to appreciate and expect and participate in.
Yeah, especially with us buying Evansville Coffee Company and starting to roast, so now having a sister brand, I think it can get a little confusing to people.
Yes, or maybe even a brother brand. We've talked about Evansville Coffee Company being more, maybe more masculine in tone than some of what we have with Honeymoon.
Yeah, and it's more finding our audience and understanding who they are first, which is, we're still in that kind of exploratory phase right now.
Yeah. Well, and then since we're talking about the other businesses, the third leg of our business is the JZP LLC, our sort of property company, where we have our Airbnb, and things have been still going well with that. It's been a good experience, and we spent some time in a couple of different Airbnbs, and one in Paris and one in London, and it without opening up new location in 2024 for Honeymoon, like that's where I feel some of our energy being drawn into developing that leg of our business in the future.
I think we both had the feeling when we were in Europe that wouldn't it be great if we had another Airbnb that was at a location that maybe our management could kind of have like a sabbatical where they go there for a week and get rest from the day-to-day of the business, but it's still making us money when we're not there.
Yeah. Sending somebody to, exotic downtown Newburgh, when you live in Evansville or Newburgh, maybe doesn't have the same, appeal to
excitement.
it as maybe
Hawaii.
Something different. Hey, you find the location. I'm there if it makes. I got to talk to my CFO and make sure that it can make business sense.
And we're not there yet. So, but that's maybe where we want to start focusing a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, as we are on the podcast, and we've sort of settled into once a month on the full moon sort of cadence. Maybe we've got 5 or so more episodes this season. We've got some feelers out there for a few more married couples who are doing business together. How have you enjoyed, or what have you enjoyed about learning from the stories of some of the other people and thinking through others that we could even talk to within our community that have maybe been on similar journeys?
Yeah, I mean, it's always inspiring to listen to someone else's story and journey. And I think that's been like the biggest benefit is just you can relate to them so much and the things that they've gone through and some of the trauma bonding. And so I think for me, it's more just like having that community with another couple that has done the same thing.
Yeah. Well, and right before we did this, started recording, you were actually listening to a How I Built This episode, which is basically all about founders' journeys. I
always try to listen to one when I'm on a road trip, because it just, sometimes I'm feeling down about everything going on and I just need to hear someone else's story and hear the difficult parts of it and know that they made it through and I can make it through.
Yeah.
You can make it through. And so it's helpful.
Yeah, and I have enjoyed the aspect of the podcast to where it's almost like an interactive version of that for us. Instead of just listening to somebody's story, we can kind of interject and double click on parts of it that we want to learn more about. And
What's your favorite new phrase?
Double click?
Yes.
I'm sorry to say it's not that new.
He's weaving that into every podcast now.
Hey, double click on this if you want to listen to my podcast. I'm just kidding. But no, that's what I think is. It is that bonding, like you say, trauma bonding, like when something bad, happens and you can reminisce about it together, but being able to sit down with another, founder couple and the unique aspects of sort of the business and family side of it at the same time. And when those things, when one strengthens the other, let's say.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. All right. Well, any final thoughts on the first season, the first half of 2024? Any predictions? You've been pretty good at predictions lately. What's the rest of the year have in store for Honeymoon? We'll check back in with Wes at the end of the season, and we'll see if you got anything right.
Okay. Well, let's see. Predictions. I don't think we're going to open another store this year.
Okay.
We are already almost halfway through.
It is safe to predict what you're not going to do.
Yeah.
That's pretty safe. Any bold predictions of a positive that something that you will do?
We are developing a training program right now that's more structured, and that should be rolled out here in the next month or two.
Okay.
Which no one cares about but our own employees. Yeah, I mean, this was the year I said I wanted to show discipline and just get our processes in place. So I don't have a lot of expectations of what that looks like. We're exploring some different kind of structures, introducing a shift lead role that we've never done before. So it's more just refining and fine tuning what we're already doing.
Yeah. And I think I'd be okay with that. I think if 2024 basically was just about tightening up everything that we have, I think by the fourth quarter, we would have a good sense of what an appropriate 2025 might look like. If I'm going to assume that there will be some level of growth in 2025.
Yeah, I've already been thinking about the lot next to our West Side store and what we could build there. So that's kind of in the back of my mind. I was definitely inspired by some of the cafes in Paris and England, and yeah, I wasn't inspired by their coffee. But
that was a little shocking.
I was inspired by the spaces and the care that they gave to their spaces.
There was lots of espresso and none of it really that great.
Yeah.
Are we snobs now?
A little bit. I mean, we should be at this point.
Is that the trajectory? You drink coffee every day for 8 years and buy a roastery and then you become a coffee snob?
Yeah. I'm still going to be a nice coffee snob.
We'll see.
I'm never gonna be rude to someone.
What is this dribble?
What is this tiny little doppio that you're handing me?
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a good. So maybe something with the lot next door on the west side.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a good enough prediction. We'll see if we've moved the ball forward on that at any time. And probably next month we will have another married couple to talk about their journey with. So until then,
cheers.
Stay.
Cheerio.
Cheerio. Mind the gap.
Well, that's it. Thank you for listening to the show this week. The Honeymoon Coffee Company podcast is produced in partnership with the Nectar Podcast Network, with music by Sam Cuban and podcast production by me, Wesley Luttrell. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back again soon.